What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the 2 Game Podcast, where I am here to break down the first 2 episodes of Skeleton Crew, which you can find on Disney Plus. It's a brand new Star Wars show. I wouldn't say that this was a show that was just on my radar of must-watch TV for 2024, but I saw a lot of, good reviews for the show, and the way they were kind of describing it, it kind of piqued my interest a little bit. So I checked out the first 2 episodes, and then we're going to review individual episodes on from here on out. But I'm going to be breaking down both of the first 2 episodes, so let's go ahead and jump into it. Episode 1, Somewhere in Outer Space. Captain Silvo lands a raid on a ship when no currency can be found. His crew member, Brutus, incites a mutiny. On the fairly modern planet of At-Aten, Wim and his friend Neil prepare to take aptitude exams to determine their future. Wim implies that he wishes he were a Jedi, despite Neil's retort that would be impossible. Meanwhile, truant students Fern and KB spend most of their time riding a hoverbike around town. When Wim misses the bus, he takes his own bike but falls into a ditch where he discovers what he thinks to be a Jedi temple. He is found by a droid who takes him to school but is subsequently admonished by his workaholic father, Wendell, who tells him that he needs to make up the exam with only a 50% curve. Wim convinces Neil to visit the temple with him, with Fern, who overheard his claim, and KB following as well. The group find a hatch and enter, only to learn that it is really a long-abandoned spaceship. Wim pushes a button that activates the ship, lifting them away. Wendell can only watch in horror as the ship takes his son and friends deep into outer space. So, right off the bat, are you going to be interested in Skeleton Crew or not? If you are a huge fan of The Goonies, if you are a huge fan of E.T., old Spielberg movies of that nature, then you are going to enjoy this show. The first 2 episodes, and I'm just going to speak on episode 1 for right now, then we'll recap episode 2. Episode 1 was really solid. Really solid. It does a decent job of kind of introducing these characters to you. And while they're not quite to the point where I would say they're the most interesting characters I've ever seen in a TV show, especially Star Wars, but you definitely get that feel like, okay, like I feel like these characters could grow on me over the course of a season or 2. Now, the acting from the kids, which for the most part is pretty good. It's hard to find kid actors that just, blow you out of the water. But I think they're doing a decent enough job. The character of KB, I think, is that her name? No, Fern. The actress that plays Fern in the show, I think, is probably the best acted out of all the characters so far. I think she also has probably the most to gain with character development. She is the most interesting to me as we kind of move through these episodes in season 1. So in order for this show to be really, really good, especially when it's tapping into the Goonies and E.T., I feel like the characters have to be absolutely nailed. You go back to any movies, the E.T., the Goonies. I'm looking at Choose Super 8 as well, because that was a really, really great Spielberg-esque movie, kind of a throwback to Spielberg. Movies like that rely heavily on characters. And you can even throw in like Outer Banks into that to some degree. I know some of their subsequent seasons got kind of crazy, but that first season, maybe even the second season, really great because it kind of leaned into that Goonies aspect, and they nailed those characters. So in order for this show to be really, really great, they're going to have to continue to develop those characters and to make us invested in those characters. So the key to shows and movies like this, not only developing those characters, making us fall in love with them, but putting these kids in very impossible situations, okay? When they lifted off, and I was like, shit, how are they going to get out of this, And then the moment you see them about to go into hyperspace, I kind of raise my eyebrow, and I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing with this. And then now we're gonna have to spend the entire season, I'm assuming, trying to get them back home is very interesting. I'm very invested in the potential for this show just based off of that. They're in the ship, they go into space, and it's like, okay, well, how are they gonna get back down? How are they gonna land their ship? and then they actually go into hyperspace, and it's like, oh shit, how are you going to get out of this situation? Especially as young kids, right? The story is, I feel like, could be good enough to be a great show, but you gotta nail the characters. And right now, I think the characters are good. I wouldn't say they're the most amazing things that have ever been on television or a movie. So very interested to see where they take these characters for the rest of the season. So episode 2, the kids meet the ship's pilot, an aging droid named SM-33, who does not realize that his captain is long gone. Fern convinces him that she is the new captain, and he takes them to a nearby outpost as At-Aden is not on any map. The kids venture through the outpost and accidentally split up, during which Wim uses his lunch money to buy food, only to learn that this currency is considered very valuable. When he tells the locals that he is from At-Aden, everyone laughs as they tell him that At-Aden is the name of a lost planet that holds a hidden treasure. A gang of pirates try to seize the kids by force to enslave them. SM-33 intervenes and tries to protect the children, but is quickly overwhelmed and gunned down. Brutus has the children thrown in the brig. Down in the brig, they meet another prisoner who reveals that he is force sensitive and has some usable knowledge. Wim, believing him to be a Jedi, agrees to work together so they can escape, with him offering to take the kids back to the ship as long as he gets to come with them. So episode 2 really kind of sets the tone for the rest of the season. Episode 1 and episode 2 really complement each other in that one sets up the characters. This one kind of sets the tone for what the season is going to be. We get some of the story peeled back a little bit, where now we realize that the planet that they live on is some mythological planet that no one has ever been to, and it's considered to hold a hidden treasure. So now the pirates, which this is where the Goonies aspects come into it, now they're going to be after these kids and trying to get to this planet. So you get a little bit of that story peeled back, which definitely sets the tone for the rest of the season, and then you get a little bit more of an idea of where these characters are going. And I like where the season's going, just based off of these first 2 episodes. The kids are out of their element in a world that they don't understand. They're very naive. Again, they're put in an impossible situation, which to me is one of the keys to a show like this succeeding. And the characters really grew on me a little bit more in episode 2. The relationship between Fern and Wim, I dig it. Constant back and forth between them. Wim is always messing shit up and won't take ownership for it. And Fern is an absolute alpha dog in this. You know, she is the leader, even though Wim tries to be the leader. He kind of fails miserably a lot of the time. And I like that relationship that they got going on there. And I'm very interested to see where they kind of take both of these characters moving forward with this season. So with 8 episodes, I'm very excited to see what this story can produce, what this show, like the potential that the show has, is right there. And right off the bat, okay, I hate to be that guy, but in comparison to The Acolyte, this is light years better. Way better than anything that ever happened in The Acolyte. And I get it that it's a little bit more teen friendly. This is not necessarily adult content for sure. But you know what? I don't really give a shit, because I want good television. I want good characters with a good story. And so far through 2 episodes, I think we kind of got that. And even though it is geared more towards teens and kids, I'm okay with it. You know, just give me a good story and good characters, and I will freaking love it. Like it's got me on board, guys. It's definitely got me on board. It has the potential to be a really great series. I don't know if this is going to be something that could produce multiple seasons. You start getting into the idea that these kids are going to age out over the course of the years with them trying to film the series, kind of like Outer Banks did, or even like Stranger Things. I didn't even mention that earlier in terms like the Goonies and stuff like that. Stranger Things is very much a Goonies-esque story, and they really succeed with those characters. So the thing with the Stranger Things is the fact that those characters are aging out quicker than they can push out the seasons. And I don't know if this show, past 8 episodes could make it season 2 or season 3. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see what transpires over this season and whether or not this is a series that can move forward past season 1. But 8 episodes, very interested in it. I would recommend y'all checking it out. But let me know down in the comments below of what you thought about episode 1 and 2 of Skeleton Crew, whether or not you're on board or not. Good signs for Disney right now and Star Wars Lucasfilm. We need a win for Star Wars right now. But guys, that is going to be it for me. I will catch y'all next week on the next episode. Laters.